Hey everyone, welcome to, I believe, the fifth Facebook Live video that we've done. I just want to say hello to everybody. And if you're on the call right now, if you're on the Facebook Live, if you could say hello on the chat box, I would greatly appreciate that. I have just been overwhelmed with all kinds of nice comments, and people are telling me to keep it coming, and they just are amazed at the energy, and I guess the energy comes from you guys. So if anybody's on here, please make sure you're saying hello. I would greatly appreciate it. I also would like to know, for the people that are just starting to get on, can you hear me okay? I've got a headset in today. I got the old-time headset. My daughters told me I needed to get the white ones that go in your ears, so got a pair of those ordered. But the reason I'm on this instead of the other way is we've actually got people cleaning in our house today, and so there's vacuums running and things like that. So hopefully we don't have too many issues with too much background noise. So I'm going to do it with the headphones on today. And if everybody can hear me okay, if I could get a thumbs up, even if it's from my sister, I'd take a thumbs up. That would be great. Great to see everybody. My mother-in-law's on the call. That's awesome. Peter, how you doing? Gregory, how are you? Karina doing? That's awesome to see you guys. And I know there's a lot more on there because I can see more numbers than the people that are chiming in here. Today we're going to be talking about continuing on with the 3 L's: listen, lead, and link. It's been interesting to me because I'm just having chats now with people that I haven't seen since high school. I was talking with Chris Ruhawk just a minute ago. He's on a friend of mine from high school. He was a year behind me in school, and I was talking about how just seeing his name pop up on the chat with me, I realized, boy, it brought me all the way back to 1985. Playing football in the fall. So it's cool to see those memories pop up, and it's cool to see you guys making some comments. And if there's any value whatsoever of anything that I'm adding, please let me know, because that helps me in everything that I do. We're going to keep this predominantly about sales. We're going to keep it predominantly about sales. We will also do obviously some real estate stuff as we get into these more, but I plan to keep doing these over and over again to create some more content. My wife even set up a YouTube channel for me. I don't know how all that works. My daughters have me on an Instagram thing. I'm trying to do videos on that, at least motivational quotes, things like that on Instagram. So I went from 2 weeks ago never being on social media at all until consistently being on social media all the time. So I think it's Miss Sook, how are you doing? Haley, it must be pretty late for you and Paul over in the UK right now. That's awesome to have you guys. And so what's interesting is, well, I'm going to have to say something about Miss Allison, who's on this call right now. I've been sending out to some people, and Tanya, you owe me something on this. I'm looking for some people that I've met in the past that are doing some testimonials from me. I've already got, I'm going to count probably about 150 testimonials, but I got a really cool testimonial from Allison this last week. And she made a comment, and I'm going to point her out on this because I'm humbled to the point of almost being just totally flattered by her comment. She made a comment in her testimony. It was a video testimony. And she said, I'm glad that I have a PIP in my life. And she called a PIP a performance, I had to write this down, a performance improvement program, I believe is what she said. And so, hey T, how are you doing? And so that was really cool. Vegas, you got to like that. I got married in Vegas. I don't know that everybody knows that. There's 2 people on this right now that know I got married in Vegas because they were both there, my mother-in-law and my sister. But anyway, I think it's very cool. It's very cool when people use your name for an acronym. And so that was awesome. So Allison, I really appreciate you putting that in the video. That kind of made my day. I had the opportunity to teach with a lot of Canadians, or not a lot of Canadians definitely, but a lot of people from the UK is what I was going to say. And those UK people, they have a different accent than us Americans. Heck, the Canadians have a different accent than I do. And so what's interesting is that the UK people, we do a lot of real estate training together. And I was in different countries with them all around the world: Australia, Singapore, Hong Kong, South Africa. But the UK accent is very unique. And the UK people, when I say to somebody what I do for a living, I say I'm a real estate investor. If I'm talking about property, I'm a real estate investor. But the UK people, they like to call themselves professional investors of properties. And they say it with that great accent, and I know I'll murder the accent, but I'm going to have some fun with it because I always tell people I'm going to have a good time whether you do or not, so I'm going to have some fun with this. Sorry, process. Exactly right, T. That's the Canadian version. But those British people, they would always say, I'm a professional investor, or I'm a professional property investor. That's what they say. Professional property investor. And they thought they were so pompous about it. And I said, you don't want to be a professional property investor. You want to be a professional investor of property. And that way you can be a PIP. And so you just have to change it around, Haley, just a little bit, and you can be more like Pip if that's what you want to do. So today what I want to talk about, you don't have any accents. Of course you don't. Yeah, right, Gregory. I don't know where you're from in Canada, Gregory. I know I mentioned Vancouver, but I don't remember you having much of an accent. Teresa doesn't have much of an accent, but there are certain words that you guys say differently in Canada. We do not have Mazda cars in the United States. We have Mazdas. We don't eat pasta in the U.S. We eat pasta. We don't have a process to do things. It's a process. So I could go all over kinds of words like that. And so it's just interesting to see the variations of the accents. But the point being is, what I want to talk about today, and this is the quickest I've ever gotten into a topic. I'm only at 6 minutes and I'm getting into the topic, but now I got more people talking to me, so this is even better. Diego, he's got his own accent. Diego, where are you from originally? Where are you from originally? I know Hispanic background, but I can't remember what country. I met you in Delray Beach, if I remember right, somewhere in Florida, I remember. And so just to hear all the different accents is pretty cool. I just had a video done for me of some of the testimonial stuff, and it's really cool to see all that stuff. So anyway, what I want to talk about today is handshakes. And yes, it comes right back down to listen, lead, and link. Now, I wondered if maybe handshakes would go out the door. I wonder if tomato. I'm not sure how you say it in the UK, Paul, but I know we say tomato. Even Canadians say tomato. But anyway, when we are shaking a hand, I kind of thought that might go out the door, but I've noticed that I think old habits are going to die pretty hard. We're in the middle of COVID right now. Now, I'm sure this won't be politically correct when I say this. I just got back from Dallas. I was at helping some people with a presentation down in Dallas last night. And there were probably 60 people, and we were spread out, so it wasn't like people were on top of one another. But even though COVID, and a lot of people had their masks on and all that kind of stuff, when you say hello to people, what's the first thing most people think about doing? They think about doing this. That's exactly right. They think about shaking your hand. And so make us focus and see big opportunities in Vegas. You've got my contact information. Send me emails. I would be happy to help motivate you. If I can do anything for you guys, I'm going to kick you in the assets. Colombia. Oh, and people from Colombia, you guys say it way cooler. I'm an American. I call it Colombia. But you guys that are from Colombia, it sounds like you're on a movie. Colombia. And I love to hear the Colombians. They talk with a really cool accent. So yeah, if you have questions about property, if you need a kick in the assets, I'll be happy to help you with that. That is never a problem. And so I'm always here for you guys. If you've lost an email or something, just do me. Obviously, we can be friends on Facebook. Just private message me there, or tell me even in the chat box that you need an email. I'm sure 50 other people will tell you what my email is. It's a pretty hard email to get because I'm a high security guy. I got a unique first name and not a very common last name. So when you put those together, I don't believe there are any other Pip Stellics in the world. There's Pips and there's Stellics, but there's no other Pip Stellics. So if you just put Gmail behind that, you got my email address. It's not hard. And so I thought it was going to be different when we were in this COVID mentality for handshakes. And there are some people that are definitely very, what's the word I want to use? Resistant to a handshake. But I'm literally in a room, and there are 50 or 60 people in there. Many of them are, I'm going to say, 65 and older. So just like my sister and mother-in-law that are on this call, they're old people, okay? They're members of a very, very much a more high-risk group, and they're going to love it. I can't imagine I'm not going to get some comments from my mother-in-law on that one, and probably my sister. And my brother's on there, and he knows that my sister is definitely very old as well. She changed both of our diapers, though, so Bill knows that, I know that. Anyway, so the point being is, all the way from New Zealand, Mr. Nightingale, you got one of the coolest names ever. Miss Hadley Nightingale. That is an awesome, great, that's like a TV name, like a movie star name kind of thing. Anyway, so I didn't think people were going to be shaking hands. I thought people would be much more guarded. So I'm trying very hard not to invade anybody's space. But as soon as you introduce yourself and say hello, the first thing they do is they put their hand out. Even in our very COVID protected world right now, I think some habits are going to die, are going to be very hard for them to die out. We're used to shaking hands. That's just what we do. And so I think it's important you guys understand. Great to see all the new people on here. This is awesome. And so, and my sister obviously not very happy with me, but that's okay. Gladys Knight and the Pips. Boy, Terrence, you got to be a certain, or TJ, should I say, you got to be a certain age to remember Gladys Knight and the Pips. Oh, Andy, all the way from Edmonton. Beautiful. I love seeing the new people say hello. So if you're on this, if you're one of the however many people, 30, 40 people that are on the live right now, please say something. I love getting the interaction. This is what's fun for me. And this is why I hope these Facebook Lives are a little bit different than every other Facebook Live I've seen. I'm not going to tell you what I had for dinner. I'm not going to tell you anything about politics. We're going to talk about sales, but we're also going to talk a lot about just interaction. And this young lady that just put her name on there, she apparently wants me to sing some song. I think that is a little odd that you have your kids watching. I think a lot. Oh, well, you're awesome, Christy. Very cool. And so anyway, she wants me to sing some song. Christy, it ain't happening. I'm going to be right up front with you on that. And so you're not allowed to touch anything else. We got to keep this PG, I think, Gregory. Be careful with that. And so anyway, what I think is important, all the way from Salt Lake City, great to see you guys. And so what's cool about this is even in a COVID-protected world, a lot of people shook my hands last night. Now, you may disagree with that. All I'm saying is we're in the habit of doing that. The further away we get from the pandemic, the more the vaccines become available, the more the treatments are out there. I think we're going to go back to some levels of normality. One of those levels of normality is going to be back to shaking hands because I think it's just going to be common. I found it interesting, and I don't know if I have anybody on here from Quebec. Quebec is a province in Canada, for those of you guys that don't know. And so I remember going to Quebec for the first time, and it's a very big deal, and I'm sure it's this way in France as well. I just haven't gone there as much. But in Quebec, they always kiss you on both cheeks. I don't know if that's going to come back in style. I have no idea. I think that's probably more germophobic than a handshake. That's just my personal opinion. My problem, and Gregory, you'll appreciate this, when they do the kiss thing on each cheek, I never knew which way to go first. Would you go left first, you go right first, and sometimes you both go in the opposite direction, and you end up with almost lip on lip, which is terribly bad for COVID. So anyway, I don't even know how I got off on that topic, but people are still shaking hands. And somebody said to me, you can really tell something about a person when they shake your hand. If you're going to try to sell somebody something, you can tell a whole lot by how they shake your hand. I had the opportunity to teach large groups of people, and it'd be anywhere from 12 to 6,000 was the most I ever taught in front of. Obviously, I didn't shake all those hands. The majority of the time when I taught, it was somewhere between 12 and 100 people. That was 99% of the trainings that I've done. And so what I would make a point of to do, if I could, before I started teaching and training and selling, because what did I do? I taught, I sold, and I motivated. And not always in that order. Because I truly think you're always selling. And hopefully you can teach a little bit along the way. And if you can motivate, kick some people in the assets, you're going to be all right. Oh, Pat and Kenny from Houston, great. Oh, Kenny's working. I thought Kenny was on there. Pat, good to see you. That's awesome. Well, get some work out of Kenny. Nothing wrong with that. And so the point being is, shaking hands, getting to know people is a way that we interact. And what I found interesting when I would go and teach groups of people is that I would go and shake their hands before I started to do the training. And I would say a large majority, probably 75, 80, maybe even 90% of them, you could tell something about their personality just by the way they shook your hand. Now, some of it, they were in an unfamiliar environment. We were generally in a hotel conference room, so you're not in a comfortable environment. So you may shake a hand differently if you're in your backyard at a barbecue than you would be at a training like that. And so what I think is important is not to be too, and I know they teach this, and I see this with a lot of young people, especially people that are trying to, and I don't think impress is the right word. What I'm trying to say is I think they just are told, maybe you feel a little bit inferior because you're younger. Lindy, nice to see you last night. And so, deep in the heart of Texas, there you go. And so what I think is interesting, when a lot of times when people are younger, they tell them, make sure you have a firm handshake. Make sure you really, and I think that gets a little bit out of whack. What I like to do, if I'm selling you something, so if I'm selling something to Tracy, I'm going to put my hand out there and let her be the aggressor. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let her be the aggressor. And what I want to do is if you're selling them something, now if you're trying to do something different, if you're a politician and trying to get somebody's vote, maybe do it a different way. I've never been a politician, never tried to get anybody's vote, but I have sold a lot of stuff to a lot of people over the years. And if you put your hand out, they're going to do one of two things. Their hand is either going to go this direction or that direction. Now, I know I'm going to be backwards on the video here, but I wanted to look at it from you're the person shaking the hand. So I'm looking at you. If when they shake my hand, they push my hand to my right, that means they're generally more of an aggressive, dominant personality. If their hand goes to my left, meaning my hand gets on the higher side, then they are more of a passive person, at least in that one moment. And generally, when they say first impressions mean a lot. If you don't believe me, there's a great book. Go read the book. Some of you guys have read it. It's by Malcolm Gladwell. By the way, he's a Canadian. Malcolm Gladwell is a Canadian, and he wrote a bunch of good books. My favorite one that he wrote is called Outliers. Read that book. It's totally worth it. Now, the cool part about a book like Outliers, it's kind of like Chicken Soup for the Soul. You can read a section at a time. You can read, Bill, if you're in the bathroom, you can read a section and then get out and then, go read another section the next time you're in the bathroom. And I know my wife is going to be so impressed that I worked that into this Facebook Live, talking about my brother in the bathroom. But he knows what I'm talking about. And so there's no filter here. My wife's not here to correct me, so I'm going to be off on tangents this afternoon. It's going to be a Friday free-for-all. That's what we're going to call the new Facebook Lives on Friday are going to be Friday free-for-all. So, Christy, I'm glad you're here because it's going to be going crazy. And so what's happening here is, and what is she talking about? Brian Bainey, the song is Christmas Shoes. Oh, well, you guys are talking about that. Anyway, so Bill even says it's a great book. But the book I'm talking about that outlines the handshake is Blink. And he doesn't talk anything about handshakes. But what he talked about is first impressions. And there's a lot of studies that are out there that the first impression is the right impression of people. Generally, when you shake somebody's hand, you can get a negative or a positive vibe pretty quickly. And if you get a positive vibe, that's going to be a totally different reaction than a negative vibe. And a lot of it comes down to not even the angle of their hand, but their hand definitely is going to be an indicator. Are they passive or are they more on the aggressive side? So that's the first thing you got to think about. And I don't care what you're selling somebody. When you're talking to somebody, one of the first things you want to ask them is, what are they expecting out of this? If somebody's coming into a jewelry store, their expectation is probably to look at some jewelry, maybe buy something. If somebody's coming into a car dealership, same concept. They're coming there for a reason. When we would do presentations in hotel rooms and things like that, they were coming to buy real estate training. Let me rephrase that. They were coming to get educated on real estate training. We were selling education on real estate training. All based on a book by a guy named Robert Kiyosaki. If you ever get a chance to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you should do that. So that's multiple books I've given you. You got a lot of homework to do this weekend. So we've got Outliers and Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. And then we've got Rich Dad, Poor Dad if you haven't had a chance to read those. Now, the nice part about all those books, they're written at a pretty low level. So some of you guys like Dan Shaker, no problem getting into that book. You'll be fine with those books because they're easy reads, like 5th grade level. I know that's 2 levels too high for my brother Bill, but we can go slow on that. And so what we need to understand is that first impression is so important. And what we're looking at is when you ask them, what are they expecting? 2 ears, 1 mouth. That's the listen part of that. Let them tell you what they want. Now, you may lead them in a different direction. I've had so many times with people, and I'll use California as an example. I would go teach out in California in LA, and I'd say, what are you expecting out of the next couple of days? And they say, we want to learn how to buy rental property. Now, that's great. Rental property is great. Don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with rental property. But rental property in Los Angeles or San Francisco is going to be a losing proposition unless you get appreciation. Now, we'll talk more about this when we get into real estate. But what I had to do with my students in California is I had to lead them. I listened to them. They said they want to buy rental property. I said, well, then, if you're in California, I'm going to have to lead you to a place where Rental property makes more sense. It could be Omaha, Kansas City. It could be San Antonio. It could be Cleveland, Ohio. It could be, a lot of other places, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, way outside of California. And so what happens is when we're doing this, we need to be able to listen to what they have. We may have to lead them in a different direction, but you're going to start to hear that with the handshake. Now, don't make the handshake too long. Don't make it too short, but just understand they'll tell you a lot. Another thing to pay attention with a handshake is to make sure that you have good eye contact. Look at somebody when you handshake their hand, but also pay attention to what? Are they looking at you in the eye, or are they looking somewhere else? So that handshake, that first hello, can mean a lot. When somebody says to me, man, you got me at hello, that must mean, could even buy property in the UK and Nebraska City, Dan, exactly. I think that's the first time I mentioned Nebraska City today, and we're 21 minutes into this call. And so there's all kinds of places. Now, I'll use Haley in the UK as an example. You're not going to buy residential rental real estate in London to be able to cash flow it. But you could go to the northern part of England and find it all day long, and lots of other parts as well. So the point I'm trying to make is you got to lead people to help them solve their problem. But you got to listen to what their problem was. So if somebody says, I want to buy rental property, that's great. Do you realize you can't do what you're wanting to do in California, or you can't do what you want to do in London, England, because the numbers just don't work. So you can lead them. But what you want to really do is listen to them first, and the first place to listen to them is on the handshake. And when you're paying attention in that handshake, you can learn a lot about somebody. Obviously, we talk about eye contact, we talk about the level of their hand, all that kind of stuff. Ask them one basic question. What are you expecting out of this? What are you expecting today? Is there anything I can help you find? I mean, whatever your business is, you can do that. Every teacher, every preacher, every mom, every dad can always talk about what's the expectation of the people that they're talking to, they're selling to. My mother-in-law works with adults with disabilities. She's in sales every day. And she has some of the toughest sales you'll ever get because the customers or the clients or the people she gives services to have different disabilities than other people. So that's a tough game. But we're selling all the time. I just can't stress enough that first handshake can either make or break it for you. And if you come in and you're way too aggressive with somebody, that passive person is gone. They're done. If you come in and you're real aggressive with somebody else who's real aggressive, now it's like a competition. I think it's very important. And we talk about this, and I know I've talked to Dan Shaker about this before, but a lot of it comes down to letting people have some wins, letting other people win on occasion. My sister, my brother, some of the other people on this phone will know I'm probably the most competitive guy in the world. Don't like to lose. I don't think I'm a bad loser, but boy, I sure as heck I will do anything I can not to lose. And so the point I'm trying to make on this is I don't play my daughter in memory. I don't play my youngest daughter in memory because she beats me all the time. It kind of ticks me off, quite frankly. I thought I was good at memory games, but she's way better than me. And so the point being is, now I'm completely off on a tangent, but what we're talking about is understanding. We're understanding is that when you're talking to these people, it's very important to listen to them and let them have some victory. So I had the opportunity a lot of times. I would do 3-day presentations with people, and you walk into a presentation like that, there are some very aggressive people. When did I learn they were aggressive? On the handshake. On the handshake. They're aggressive. And so I know that person needs to what? They need to have some wins. If I'm always right for 3 days, if I'm always right for 2 hours or whatever, and they don't feel like they're winning, I've lost the sale, I guarantee it. If I know somebody's very passive when I shake their hand, guess what? I've got to be a little more, and I'm not going to use the word pushy at all, I've got to lead them a little bit more. The person who's aggressive will tell you right where they want to go. The person who is more passive will need to be led where you want them to go. And where do we learn this? We learn this in the handshake and the hello. And if you start to listen and understand a very basic concept, put it in the handshake, say hello, but listen to them. Feel what different way their hand is going. You don't ever have to be the aggressor. And I can say this, very importantly, when you shake their hand, and some of you guys are going, well, don't you want them to feel that you're a certain type of person? No, I'm trying to sell them something, which means it's more important for them to feel like if they're the aggressive person, that they're going to win that relationship to a certain extent. If they're the passive person, I'm not going to be too pushy. So I'm definitely on the receiving end of a handshake. I'm never the aggressor on the handshake. I'm always trying to get information. It's no different than the 2 ears, 1 mouth mentality. I'm trying to get information with the handshake. So it's imperative we start to see that you can make or break a sale in that first question that you ask him, in that first handshake. Is it tougher virtually? I definitely think it's tougher virtually, but some things are easier. Definitely tougher to get a handshake virtually. In fact, I think that might be impossible. So the point is, what we learned here as we went through today's is that handshake is so important. You can tell a lot about a person. Now I'm going to ask you guys a couple of things before we get off the Facebook Live today. Is first of all, I told you my wife put together some YouTube channel. I think it's just Pip Stellick. Subscribe. I'm supposed to say these things. This is marketing and sales in the 2020 era. I don't even know what all this stuff means. Apparently, after my name now, I have a Facebook. It says join me on Facebook, something on Instagram. I used to laugh at those people that have all that stuff on there. Now I guess I have it because my wife put it on there. So you can thank Jennifer for all my marketing stuff. I know a lot of you guys are asking me to keep doing these, keep putting the content out there. I got a lot of people asking me what I'm going to be doing. And I'm not trying to do this to be funny. I'm contractually obligated for a period of time that I can't do anything else but just inform. And I'm going to honor that because integrity is 1,000% where I want to be. But look for some different things from me coming up here right after October starts, which will be here before we know it. And so looking forward to doing some different things. You're laughing at me. Thanks. I appreciate that. Do you adapt your handshake for the opposite sex? I'm not sure I can answer that question in a G or PG format, but I'll give it a chance here. I do not adapt it in any way, shape, or form because female, male, doesn't matter. There are aggressive people no matter what your sex is. There's aggressive people no matter what your background is. Some people are aggressive and some people are more passive. I don't think it needs to change. You in a handshake, especially when you're trying to sell them something, when you're on a handshake, I'm not sure who put that. Haley, you put that up there. Thank you so much. I didn't even know how to do that. So awesome. Very cool. Oh, just got new pictures taken. Yeah, that's a new thing for me. I finally got professional headshots done because everybody says my headshot looked like it was a picture in the bedroom. Well, it was a picture of me in the bedroom with no wall behind me and no lights. So my wife always tells me I look better in the dark, so I don't think it's good that there's better lighting on me. Better lighting on me is never a good thing. Pictures of me is never a good thing to sell anything else, so I don't even like the pictures, but nonetheless, it's all good. I got them out there. I'm getting out of my comfort zone, bigger than life, doing these kinds of things, but I've had a lot of fun, and a lot of the feedback is really cool, and to hear people that I haven't seen for years making comments, whatever they are, that's awesome. And so please do the YouTube thing, do the, what's the other one called? Instagram thing, all that kind of stuff. I'm guessing I might start doing something on LinkedIn, and there's another one. I can't even remember all the different formats that are out there anymore. I don't know anything about Twitter. Don't know anything. I've never tweeted or twitted, or I'm not even sure what the right word is for that. My wife is going to be so proud of me when she hears this. Good for her. And so, but I do know that I'm on Facebook now, got the Instagram, and YouTube is new since last week. So what we're going to do is obviously wrap up today's. If you guys could do me a favor, keep making the comments in the chat box, whether you're watching it on the live chat or if you're watching it on a recorded version. Please do that. If you know anybody that you can share this stuff to, if nothing else, to have some fun and to make fun of some weird guy. Twitter, people are helping me out here. TikTok. I don't know that we're going to be able to use TikTok in the U.S. before long. You guys in the U.K. might be able to. Canadians might be able to. But something's happening here where they're taking TikTok. I don't know what's going on with that. So my daughters love TikTok. I know that. I think it's a little odd, but hey, what do I know? But that was the other one that I was thinking of. Was Twitter and TikTok. Say those real fast 3 times. Twitter, TikTok, Twitter, TikTok, Twitter, TikTok. Can't do it. I'm going to say a bad word if I'm not careful here. And so please friend me on Facebook. If you or no, friend me on Facebook. That's not what I wanted to say. Watch the video on Facebook. Share the video with some other people. Ron Helmer, you look good in an 8x10. I don't even know what that means. That's awesome. Oh, Cindy Wolf. So some of you guys are asking me for shirts. I've got people asking me for shirts. Somebody said if you wear shirts with your company name on it, and I think somebody called that swag. Well, if a guy in a hoodie swag, I'll take it. Oh, Zoom. We're going to start doing some Zoom things probably next week, Peter. And so then people are talking to my wife on here. This is awesome. This is just like a Friday afternoon chat. Man, if you got a cup of coffee or tea or whatever y'all drink, this is what I'll drink, because I should advertise for these guys, because this is what I drink. But anyway, so Jennifer, you're just like Miss Marketing 101 today. My wife is all over this. And so Jennifer Harnett did the pictures. I don't think anybody that sees my picture is going to want other people to do, that person to do their pictures, because I think I'm the worst example of that. So either way. But what is the name of your YouTube channel? If you look at the chat thing up above here, and you guys can scroll through that. I don't think if I scroll through it, it's going to help you. But there's a link to it. It says youtube.com. It's just Pip Stellick. So it's Pip, I think, space step. Thank you very much. You guys are awesome. And so we're going to be doing, I can't believe still nobody has gotten off the call in this amount of time, because I think the more I talk, the more people are going to fall off the thing. So anyway, as I ramble here, we're going to do another Facebook Live. We'll do it on Monday. Look for topic to come. If somebody wants to type in a comment of a topic that they want me to cover related to sales, a lot of people want to talk about closing. And I got, Coffee is for Closers is an old 80s or 90s movie. Boiler Room was a crazy movie for closing. The Wolf of Wall Street was a crazy movie for closing. Don't like that style at all. I don't like to worry about being a closer. As my good friend Dan says, I want to be an opener. If you have a good opener, you don't have to worry about closing. You got to open. You got to be able to start the conversation. And the best way I know to open is with a good handshake and a smile. If you do those two things, you're going to be all right. If you don't do those two things, you've already given yourself a lot of hills to overcome. So very important pieces on that today. If you have anything you guys want me to talk about, and like I said, I'm going to keep doing sales stuff as well, but if there's a specific thing, I know, Haley, you seem to always have questions. That's awesome. Love hearing all the questions. But please, I know what I was supposed to, I got off on a tangent. Cindy Wolf at Pirate Warehouse, I don't even know what the name of her company is. It's Pirate Warehouse. Is that what I have here, somewhere up here? At Pirate Warehouse Wolf Graphics. She's the one that does the shirts. I've even had other people on here say, Pip, can Cindy do shirts for my company? Well, Cindy, you may be getting more business than you ever imagined, and which is cool. I've had people from the UK ask for shirts. I've had people from Canada ask for shirts for their business. So that's awesome for Cindy. Yeah, and I don't know what else to say today other than I have a blast doing this, and I enjoy the back and forth, great stuff. Clothing, what are we talking about now? I get halfway through this and it gets really body language. We'll talk clothing. Is that a point you want to, you're talking to a guy in a gray hoodie. Do I know anything about clothing? The answer is no. We'll talk about body language on another one. That'll be awesome. Body language is definitely a good one, a good topic to talk about. So I appreciate that. Monday, I haven't even looked to see what time I'm going to do it on Monday. It doesn't really matter because majority of people watch it on the recording anyway. But Monday we'll probably do, and I know there's not a great time for everybody because we got lots of time zones here, but we'll probably do a Monday afternoon one. Look for that, Monday afternoon Central Standard Time US, as I drop my phone and everything else here. So Monday afternoon Central Standard Time. Please make comments in the chat box. Message me on the private message. Look at YouTube, I guess. Instagram, I guess I'll have some motivational videos, and they're not motivational, me being motivational. It's me giving you a quote. I started copying quotes down. Somebody said, Pip, when did this all start? I have to say it started when I was 12 years old. I started copying quotes down. And I'm going to put a shout out to a teacher that I had. His name was Dan Ostransky, and a couple people on the call know who I'm talking about. And he was my sophomore or 10th grade teacher for, I think it was American history. I don't think it was world history. It was American history. And every day Mr. Ostransky would put a quote on the board, old chalkboard. And every day I would write it down in a little yellow notebook. I still got that yellow notebook of every quote that he wrote down for that day, every day. I love quotes, love motivational quotes. It's a lot easier to get quotes in 2020 than it was in 1983 or whatever year that was. And so Mr. Ostransky always had great quotes, so I like to use those. I started memorizing those even back before that, but then I really got serious in my 10th grade year because I saw a quote every day, so that was awesome. I have all the recordings on the YouTube channel. I was always in a three-piece. Well, when I'm on stage, that was a rich dad thing. Kiyosaki wanted us to wear suits. I have to tell you, Gregory, I think if I go out and do anything in my own venue without it being tied to somebody, because when you're contracting for somebody else, you've got to work within their situation. And so I think if I go out and do anything just on my own at a hotel, I probably wouldn't wear a suit. Maybe I would, I don't know. I kind of like the hoodie. It kind of fits me well, and it's pretty baggy, and you can put your hands in your pocket and hide some of the extra weight that we all have. But anyway, so with that being said, man, we're 35 minutes. Facebook, message me on Facebook, YouTube channel, anything else I can do to provide content, please let me know. End with the Lou Holtz story. Oh my gosh, how can you not end Lou Holtz? I got people shouting stuff out here. I like professional casual. I like that too. I know hoodies are not professional casual, but they're pretty casual, that's for sure. I'll end this, and I have to. Class of 83, baby. I was a sophomore in 83, Mr. Andrus. You were a senior. You're a couple years older than me, probably. So I'll end this just because my brother shouted this out. It's my favorite poem ever, and literally to this day, it's actually on the wall up here in the corner of my basement office here, my basement studio. I've got it. It's in a frame thing. My brothers and sister got that for me one year for Christmas, and I'll share this story. I share it. Everybody that's ever heard me teach has heard this story. Hey, this will be the first time you get to hear this. Dan's heard it probably 2,000 times. You were born in 83. That's got to make you feel good, Steve, and doesn't make me feel any better either. But yeah, Lou Holtz is the best. So there's a great poem and he has lots of different stuff. So anything you want to look up on Lou Holtz, great stuff. So the poem is called The Builder. It's written by a very famous author. That author is anonymous. That anonymous person wrote a lot of great stuff. So look up anonymous. You'll find a lot of good things. Poem. I can't believe I'm ending the day with the poem, but how can you not end it with the poem? It's a great poem. It goes like this. I saw a group of men tearing a building down, a group of men in my hometown. With a heave and a hoe, they swung the beam and the sidewall fell. I asked the foreman, are these men skilled? The type you'd hire if you want to build. He laughed and said, why no, indeed. Common labor is all I need, for I can tear down in a day or two what it took a builder 10 years to do. I thought to myself as I walked away, which of these roles am I going to play? Am I going to be the type that walks constantly around tearing other people down? Or am I going to be the type to build with care so that my friends, family, and neighbors are glad that I was there? So there you go. There's the poem for you, Bill. I obviously have committed it to memory because it's my favorite poem ever. As I tell you guys every time when we do these, first of all, great to see new people. Thanks for sharing on the chat. It definitely makes my day when we do this. We're going to talk more about sales. We'll do body language, anything other topics you guys want to talk about. Probably won't talk much about clothing because that's an opinion answer more than it is anything else. Some people think suits are too dressy. Some people think you can't do anything without a suit. So I don't know what the right answer is there. I like hoodies. I'm going to go with comfort for me. So do me a favor. Please make sure you make comments. Share this video with as many people as you can. I love to get the message out there. And last thing I'm going to tell you every time we do these Facebook Lives, please do me a favor. Go out, talk to somebody, tell somebody you know, somebody beside you, somebody, a family member, friend, family, could be an enemy. Say you're going to be all right, because I truly believe if we look at each other each and every day, look at each other and say you're going to be all right, we're all going to be all right. It's a tough world right now, a lot of weird stuff going on, but we're all going to be all right. Guys, have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday afternoon. I'll get the exact time. Oh, one last thing I was told is that make sure on the Facebook you can do something. I got a message from somebody and said you can, and I don't know what I'm even saying here. Facebook allows people to sign up for a reminder when you post an event, like going live. So there must be some way to sign up for that. I don't know how to do it, but I'm sure some of you all know how to do it that are more Facebook are more Facebook savvy than I am. So thanks for all the great comments, guys. We will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. You're going to be all right. Talk to you soon.